Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to NIPM Global. Today's webinar is from an HR topic and it is called Retrenchment Strategies. Now, there are different ways in which a global strategy is being defined. Retrenchment strategy has basically three sub-strategies. Now, I'll speak about what is retrenchment strategy after I'm explaining this. The three types of retrenchment strategy is turnaround, divestment, and liquidation. Now, with these terms, I hope you understand what is a retrenchment strategy. A retrenchment grant strategy is followed when an organization aims at a contraction of its activities through some substantial reduction or elimination of scope of one or more of its businesses. Now, you find that some of your products or businesses are not doing really well. Then you think about reducing it, then you think about either cutting it off or some sneak tweaking into that. That is what is known as retrenchment strategy. It could be in terms of their respective customer groups, customer functions, or alternative technologies, that either singly or jointly in order to improve the overall performance. So in short, a retrenchment strategy is a strategy that is sought for sick units. When it is not performing well, we either do a turnaround, that is one of the retrenchment strategy. It could be a divestment or it could be a liquidation, that is rest in peace. Now, let's give examples for retrenchment strategies. Now, two major retrenchment strategies I would like to put forth before you is when General Motors of United States stopped producing a number of makes of automobile, the General Motors decided that it needs to retrench by concentrating on just a few makes. It would hope that would help in return a lot of profitability for the business. A similar thought had come to Unilever in 2005. As part of this particular strategy or their own grand strategy of Unilever, they found out that they have close to 1,600 brands. Their brands accumulated over the years became 1,600, and then they thought like they brought down comparatively very few brands called power brands, and this strategy was called power brand strategy by Unilever, and they selected only 400 brands which was highly performing in the market. This could be a kind of retrenchment strategy. So retrenchment strategies are done by organizations or by conglomerates to make sure that they, as a unit, as a whole conglomerate, runs profitably. So the first retrenchment strategy is the turnaround strategy. Now, turnaround strategies derive their name from the action involved in reversing a negative trend. Now, could be it is a sick unit. I said these strategies are used for sick units. The profit, the market share, everything is going low. So there is some jadoo or a magic that is being done on these organizations that they turn the negative trend all around. There are certain conditions or indicators which point out that a turnaround is needed for an organization to survive. An organization which faces one or more of these issues is referred to as a sick company. Now, an example that can be indicative of a turnaround strategy is that done by Xerox. You all know Xerox. Xerox is an iconic company which is the first innovator of photocopy machines. Now, Xerox revealed a turnaround program in December 2000, which included cutting 1 billion in cost and raising up to 4 billion. How did they do that? They were on their negative trend, and this was done through the sale of assets, existing non-core businesses, and layoffs. So they had to do very harsh decisions of doing layoffs, shutting down the non-profitable businesses, and the sale of some assets also. Now, it so happened that Xerox continued to report losses in 2001. And it returned to profit in 2002 and continued to report profit after 2003. So a turnaround or a magic that happened in Xerox was with the help of this particular turnaround strategy. Next one is the divestment strategy. Now, divestment strategy involves the sale or liquidation of a particular portion of the business or a major division. You sell off some of the major portion or the non-performing assets of your particular organization. Now, divestment strategy was done by Tata Oil Mill or Tomco, you'd rather say. It was divested and sold to Unilever, and as soaps and detergents was not considered as a core business for the Tata. You all might have heard about 501 soap and the bar soap. You might have heard about Moti soap, which is a classical case study of divestment. The pharmaceutical companies of the Tatas, Merent and Tata Pharma, were divested to Wockhardt. That is another divestment that was being done. So the highlight is that in one particular organization, in one particular business unit, the non-performing portions or non-performing brands are being thrown away or cut out from that particular organization. It can be given to sold or being leased out to some other organizations or brands. The cosmetic company Lakme was divested and sold to Unilever, as beside being a known core business, it was found to be a non-competitive and would have required substantial investment that ought to be sustained. The last one is the liquidation strategy. Now, liquidation strategy is a retrenchment strategy which is considered as the most extreme and unattractive in this particular line of business. Now, in which involves the closing down of a firm and selling its assets. There was a brand which ruled the Indian market. There was one particular car which took aristocrats with a lot of pride and privilege. I am speaking about Ambassador. In 1960s, when Hindustan Motors launched Ambassador into India, the car market was very bare. It had only Premier Padmini, and later in 1980s, when Maruti came out, Maruti 800 slowly started creeping into the market. In 2014, by September, there was one particular announcement by Hindustan Motors that they are liquidating this particular company, and from that day onwards, Hindustan Motors gave a rest in peace sign to Ambassador. Now, this particular activity of Hindustan Motors is called liquidation, where they sell up everything that is related to that particular product or brand. Ambassador went to the roost, came down out of reasons or other which you can go and investigate. Now, the activity that was done on Ambassador is called liquidation. It is considered as a last sort resort because it leads to serious consequences such as loss of employment for workers and other employees, termination of opportunities where a firm could pursue any future activities, and the stigma of failure. So, I would rather summarize what we discussed today. We spoke about what you mean by retrenchment strategies. Retrenchment strategy is a strategy followed by organization when they are going towards a downtrend or for sick units. The retrenchment strategies are of three types. It could be a turnaround strategy where there is a magic or some sort of strategy is being applied so that the organization which is going sick and going to die is being revived out. We spoke the example of Xerox in there. Next could be a divestment strategy where a portion of business is being sold out or being chucked out of that particular organization. We spoke about Tomco and we spoke about many other organizations, many other brands like Lakme, which was being divested and sold to Unilever. Next one is the last sort resort, which is the liquidation strategy, where the organization closed down that particular plant for the reasons of their growth. So these are the different types of retrenchment strategies that is being used by organization for types at times when it's really required. This is Jitin Benedict for NIPM Global.